Hey moms, hey dads. If you've ever said, I feel like I've done so much for my child, I've explored every option out there, but they still feel stuck in the same place, I want you to know we hear that time and time again in our office. Consultation after consultation, we have frustrated, exhausted parents who have tried so much in the traditional route. They've seen doctors, tried medications, therapies. Next, they've dove into the holistic approaches, and yet their child struggles with the exact same health challenges. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association, even with all the advances in modern medicine, the explosion in alternative therapies, children's health in the US has significantly deteriorated across a broad spectrum of indicators from 2007 to 2023. That's their quote. We're seeing just unprecedented levels of chronic illness, behavioral challenges, developmental delays, even things that are showing up and we're not knowing what the root cause is. So, in this video, I want to explore how you can start to break through that exhausting cycle of doing so much and share with you that the missing piece might not be another supplement, another therapy, another intervention, but actually looking at the root, the foundational system that's controlling everything in your child's body. This, of course, is the nervous system, something that we love to work with in our office. And so, if you are feeling exhausted, if you're feeling trapped, if you're on this like hamster wheel of endless appointments, you've got care plans, interventions, your child still is struggling with all the same things. That's what we're going to talk about here. So, what I want to discuss, I'm going to bring up my iPad here, is before we get going to a little more details, I want you to really let it sink in how your child's nervous system is the master controller for everything in their body. It controls their sleep, their digestion, their immune system. It controls their muscle movements. It coordinates and controls every cell in their body. So, what we see so many times in our office is that if the nervous system is stressed, what happens is now it creates stress in the body and in the mind. So, your child is going to get stuck in these same patterns over and over again if their nervous system is stuck. What that might look like for you to get a few like clues, is this going on in my child? We have maybe they don't fall asleep or stay asleep well. They're constipated, their digestion's always been off, maybe they're colicky refluxy as a baby, poor immune function, developmental delays, sensory processing issues is something we love to work with in our office because we find that is so commonly at the root of a stressed out nervous system. Emotional regulation issues, big meltdowns, big tantrums, big emotions, and inability to focus, to sit still, to pay attention. So, if you're finding any of those things commonly happening with your child, what we see is a common missing piece is that the nervous system is stuck in this stress mode. And what happens then is you start to get what seem like unrelated things. You've got immune, maybe allergy issues, you've got constipation, so you see the GI doc, you got ear infections, so you're seeing the ENT, you talk to the psychiatrist for ADHD or anxiety, and it feels like you're starting to bucket all these things. What we see in our office is commonly they can all come from a baseline of a stressed out nervous system. Before I talk about that, I want to give you some clues as to not only those things as symptoms that are indicating your child might have a stressed out nervous system, but going backward a little bit to earlier on in your child's life, because one of the things we're passionate about is how did things get this way? Not just being able to treat the symptoms, but to help you as a parent better understand things. So, if any of these things resonate with you, these three categories, either high prenatal stress, we know that baby's nervous system is developing 4 to 6 weeks in utero. So, if there's a stressful environment, they can take on that stress early on. Birth trauma and intervention is one of the things we most commonly address in our office, and that's most commonly overlooked. C-section, forceps, stuck labor and delivery, having to maybe get a shoulder and a head through maybe a stalled labor, baby stuck in the birth canal. They had to, maybe the cord was around the neck or the heart rate started decelerating as baby was coming out. And then the last one here, early chemical exposure, frequent antibiotics, environmental toxins. These are all things that the more of this list we find that parents are checking off as happening to their child, the more likely their nervous system now is stuck in this state of chronic frequent dysregulation. So, what do we do about it then? Is if we go to what that looks like, is a stressed out nervous system. You can see on the left of the teeter totter here is like your child's foot is always on the gas pedal. This is what we call fight flight state. It's sympathetic dominance. That's this fight flight response in the nervous system. And what that does is shift your child into survival mode, because if they're afraid of being chased by a tiger, if they're afraid of an interaction with the child, if sensory system's getting overwhelmed, if they're feeling all this stress, they're going to want to not sit still and pay attention and learn math, but they need to survive. So they need to always be moving, always exploring. They're not going to want to fall asleep at night. Protection mode means they might start to tighten up, their posture comes forward, they become stubborn and defiant. They need to protect themselves by potentially not cooperating. And then this stress just starts to build. And when stress starts to build, we know that can affect so many things in the body, because it pulls energy from digestion, it pulls from immune system, it pulls from emotional regulation. I know when I'm stressed, my emotions can amp up a little more quickly. My fuse is a little bit shorter. And same for your child. So now imagine being in chronic stress state. No wonder they can't calm down quickly from a scary moment, or they can't recover after a big emotional outburst, and their meltdown lasts an hour and a half. So what we want to do in our office, and you can see this being on a teeter-totter, is we want to shift the energy to brake pedal mode. That's what we do with the neurologically focused chiropractic care, is we find where's the gas pedal stuck on, and through our gentle neurological adjustments, we start to activate the brake pedal. This is commonly an area we work on is the vagus nerve. This is the major brake pedal for the nervous system to bring us down from that fight-flight state. As a result, when the nervous system starts to shift into brake pedal mode, if we can start to increase this side of the nervous system, as I said on a teeter-totter, that automatically starts to decrease this gas pedal side of the nervous system. When we increase the brake pedal, what we do is shift the body into growth and development, to hit milestones, to get speech back on track, to get fine motor and gross motor, to get a growth spurt going. We have a kindergartner that just started, and Dad said, man, after his first adjustment, his appetite has just been ravenous, because he's going into growth mode and healing mode instead of protection, fight, flight mode. So with healing, the gut starts to recover, the immune system starts to resume and get some resiliency back. Kids start pooping, they start sleeping, their nervous system is slowing down, so they fall asleep easier, they sleep more deeply throughout the night, inflammation starts to clear out. And ultimately, when that's happening, they're resting, they're restoring, and they're recovering. So if that resonates, please know that when you've tried so much, and if you're feeling stuck, I completely understand. And sometimes parents say, yep, I did the supplement, boom, my kid was good. But many times parents come to us because they've tried so much and they're just not seeing the headway they thought they were going to make. In that case, we find time and time again it's because that child's nervous system is stuck in fight, flight, gas pedal mode. And once we can get it out of stuck in stress mode into growth, healing, brake pedal mode, now you start to see these changes that you always knew were possible with your child. So if you're interested in finding out more, check out our website. Check out the links in our bio, talk about what our office does and the neurological scans we do to be able to actually specifically, individually measure your child's nervous system and see where they're at.